No homeowner ever wants to say it out loud, but I had to face it. My farm got raided, not by real cops, but by fake enforcers working for a homeowners association, HOA, I didn't even belong to. The reason they gave? A fabricated list of violations. The authority they claimed? Completely non-existent. The only thing they actually got that day was a front row seat to their own arrests. It started with a nail, 6 inches of rusted steel, driven through a bright red notice, pinning it to my front gate like a warning shot. Emergency repossession notice, HOA Bylaw 14, deviolation. Signed, Karen Whitaker, President, Greater Oak Ridge Estates, HOA. I live next to Oak Ridge, not in it. But Karen, with her perpetually smug smile, seemed to believe boundaries were merely flexible suggestions. The paper listed imaginary sins, livestock containment breach, unauthorized fencing design, along with a $4,700 fine and a deadline, vacate by Friday. At first, I thought it was a sick joke or junk mail until 30 minutes later when a matte black SUV rolled up. Two guys in tactical gear got out, one holding a clipboard, the other with a sidearm and a buzz cut that screamed intimidation. Visual inspection on behalf of the HOA, the clipboard guy announced. Where's your warrant? I asked, trying to suppress the anger boiling up at the blatant trespass. That feeling of safety on my own land began to crack. He mumbled something about emergency protocol, allowing perimeter verification, all meaningless words to cover having no warrant. I blocked their path. You're not coming near the barn. Unless you have a legal warrant, you're trespassing. The second guy postured near his weapon. Clipboard guy just smirked, pulling out his phone. Your resistance will be noted. Good, I shot back, heart pounding. I love paperwork. As they turned to leave, I quickly snapped photos of their license plate and the crooked HOA badge taped inside their windshield. I posted the pics on the local community forum. New HOA cosplay units spotted. The response exploded. Neighbors shared similar stories. Old Man Duffy, 4 houses down, commented, "Told y'all Karen's HOA is a damn cult." Soon after, Karen called. Cold, smug voice. "Mr. Callahan, confirming a receipt of the notice? The one illegally nailed to my gate? Secured for visibility," she corrected, "under the new emergency expansion guidelines." Guidelines I know nothing about? For residents of Oak Ridge Estates? I'm not a resident there. She chuckled softly, a sound I could hear over the phone, laced with a hint of old animosity. That property should have been part of the estates years ago, Mr. Callahan. Now you are part of it. Click. That night, orange survey flags appeared along my north field. They weren't just threatening, they were acting. I started double-checking locks, a sense of unease creeping into every corner of the farm. I remembered my dad muttering about keeping records for everything, about people always watching, always eyeing the land. Back then, I just thought he was a little paranoid. Not anymore. The next morning, I went to the county office. The woman there raised an eyebrow. "You're the 12th person to complain about this HOA. She shook her head when I asked about action taken. "Most people get scared and pay." She handed me a sticky note. "Sheriff Luke Callahan, my brother." That evening I called Luke, told him everything. He was quiet for a moment. "You're not the first, John, but your case, it's more complicated. It's not just about fines, it's about control." He hesitated. "There are rumors Karen's under pressure from some outside developers. I can't say much over the phone. Be careful." The unease grew. This wasn't just a rogue HOA. Dawn broke not with rooster crows, but with a megaphone blare. Oak Ridge Estates HOA Compliance Division, step outside immediately. 4 black unmarked trucks idled at the end of my drive. 6 figures in khaki gear, carrying radios, a drone, even a crowbar. Karen emerged, sunglasses windbreaker, clipboard held like a scepter. Phase 2, she announced with a fake smile. I stood in the porch, coffee mug in hand, trying to project calm though my heart was hammering. Did Phase 1 get lost in the mail? She ignored me, signaling her goons. 2 headed for the barn. 1 raised the drone. I stepped down. Don't interfere, one of them growled. Planning to arrest me for walking on my own land? I retorted, keeping my voice steady. Karen stepped forward. Peacefully or escalated, your choice. She raised her phone to record. Escalating hostility from non-compliant resident. I gave a humorless laugh. Smile pretty, Karen. That footage will look great under subpoena. Just then, Deputy Ramirez's marked cruiser pulled up. Ramirez remained professional. He asked if I'd invited them. No. If I consented to an inspection. Absolutely not. He turned to Karen. Ma'am, you and your unit are trespassing. You need to leave immediately. And flying a drone over private agricultural property is illegal. Karen's eye twitched. She leaned in close to me, voice low. I hope your niece enjoys applying for scholarships from a property with numerous violations. A chilling threat. They retreated, but I noticed a flicker of frustration mixed with arrogance on Karen's face, and one of the younger guys looked genuinely nervous. That night, Luke showed up, out of uniform. That was Karen's theatrics, he said, but she's scared because you didn't back down. She threatened your niece. Luke clenched his beer can. She's ruthless. I heard there's some internal trouble at the county office related to Oak Ridge permits. Someone's trying to cover something up. Get solid evidence, John. Clear proof. And stay safe. Then the strange thing started. Tools moved. Gates unlatched. The pasture fence cut. A clean slice. Deliberate. Power outages precisely when cameras were uploading data. The feeling of being watched, of being violated in my safest space was sickening. I suspected Darren, the new hired hand, the one always asking about backup systems, always seeming to linger near the barn with his phone. I set a trap, a decoy file labeled Property Transfer Options in a bait shed. 3 days later, it was gone. That night, the well cam pinged. Darren sneaking away with a bag. I confronted him. He ran. I chased, anger and adrenaline surging. He was fast, but I knew this land by heart. He tripped. I was on him. It's not what it looks like, he gasped. Then talk. He broke, a mix of fear and parroted resentment pouring out. Karen said your family cheated to get this land, that it belongs to the community. She showed me documents. She said you were dangerous, wouldn't listen. He opened the bag. A burner phone, a tablet, a hand-drawn map of my property marked with camera blind spots, well access, and the underlined phrase evacuation trigger, November 4th. Only 2 days away. On the tablet, the Phase 3 Callahan folder held surveillance photos, power usage charts, and a PDF report recommending expedited handling of non-compliant subject. Approval, K. Whitaker. Alongside were copies of forged transfer documents, a quitclaim deed with my fake signature, listing co-ownership with Mason Ridge Holdings. Luke and I compared it to my father's thick, yellowed original deed. Nearly identical, except for the authentic signature. She's selling your land out from under you to a shell company, Luke said, his voice grim. and someone at the county signed off. That night, in the barn where my dad used to sit, helplessness and rage warred within me. I remembered Dad's warnings about paperwork, remembered the phrase "mule dust" he used for important things needing safekeeping. I searched the places he used to hide things, under the barn floorboards, in old coffee cans buried near the back fence. Finally, inside an old steel lockbox labeled "Mule Dust," I found the treasure trove: receipts, permits, old maps, and a spiral notebook logging every single land dispute. Karen Whitaker's name appeared repeatedly in red ink. Her 1991 proposal for a luxury subdivision, denied. Dad's handwritten note: she'll try again, not with a company, with paper. Below it, another note, slightly cryptic: can only take it if they prove you shouldn't have it. Watch the west boundary. Don knows it well. Don Wallace, my lawyer neighbor. I remembered Karen's face that day decades ago when my father refused her offer. Not defeat, but calculation. Luke confirmed Zachary Lauren, the county planning chief who'd acted friendly towards me, had signed off on Mason Ridge-related documents. Luke had also found leaked HOA minutes detailing the plan to monitor and discredit me. I printed everything, mailed copies to local papers, and left one on Karen's porch with a note: still not mine. She panicked, posting a shaky denial video online, which was quickly mocked into oblivion before she deleted it. I went to see Don Wallace. He wasn't surprised about Karen or the west boundary. "I've been keeping an eye on her encroachments for a while, John," he said, pulling out his own files. "She's crossed this line repeatedly. I've documented it all." The final plan clicked into place. Dawn, November 4th. I was ready. Cameras rolling, streaming off-site. Luke and his deputies watching remotely. Don Wallace alerted. I wasn't scared anymore, just cold with determination, a knot of tension in my stomach. 9:04 a.m. 5 black SUVs roared in. Karen emerged, still projecting false confidence. "Mr. Callahan, you've left us no choice," she yelled, waving a document, the administrative hold. "Worthless decoration," I replied calmly. "Everything is being recorded. 5 cameras, 2 deputies, a county lawyer watching live." Karen's jaw tightened. Anger flashed behind her mask. "Proceed," she ordered. One of her crew moved towards the barn door, touched it. Plan B, spotlights flared, sirens wailed. Luke's voice boomed from hidden speakers. "This is Sheriff Callahan. You are trespassing on private property under investigation. Step away from the building." Karen's crew faltered. Just then, Don Wallace strode out from the west pasture. "Ms. Whitaker," he stated firmly, "you are on my land. This is Oak Ridge zoning tract." "The boundary stops there," Don pointed, holding up his file. "And this is a cease and desist order. The community has also just filed a class action lawsuit against you for fraud and harassment. The judge handling the case happens to be my neighbor." Karen's face crumbled completely. Moments later, Luke's official cruisers arrived. The warrant was read. Fraud, forgery, impersonation. Karen was cuffed in silence, heavy defeat etched on her features. Her crew folded. Neighbors cheered and applauded. Mrs. Delaney raised a glass of sweet tea and a toast from her golf cart. But as Luke bagged evidence, a deputy called him over. Karen's recovered tablet showed a newly received email. No sender, no body. Subject reassignment, pilot zone, Midwest Beta, and new coordinates. Karen was just the pilot program. The network was still active. Karen was taken away. Her mugshot was everywhere. The HOA imploded. Involved county officials were suspended or resigned. But I couldn't rest easy. I tracked down the coordinates, found Grace Harlow 2 counties over. Her ranch. She had just received her first letter from a different HOA, linked to the same shell company, Mason Ridge Holdings. I shared everything. Grace took swift legal action and stopped them. Others facing similar threats surfaced. A network was being exposed. The ranch remained mine, but I was changed. Every morning, walk along the fence line wasn't just inspection, it was a reminder that security is fragile, that power hides in plain sight. The sense of violation lingered. Vigilance became instinct. A month later, a black envelope with no return address appeared at my gate. Inside, a card with a strange symbol, a triangle over a stylized house, and a new set of coordinates. I stored it in Dad's Mule Dust box. The fight might not be over. Someone out there just circled the next target. And if they need help, they won't be starting from scratch. The law's paper, and paper only holds up if someone defends it from the flame.